Okay, everyone's got to press got it. Okay, I think we should be live. I don't see it on Facebook, but we're going to go ahead and go with it because it's recording. Okay, we wanted to welcome everybody again to our Facebook Live. Just a reminder, if you have questions, post them in the chat below and we will present them probably near the end unless I find something relevant, and then I can bring it forward. For right now, I'm going to have everybody kind of introduce themselves. We'll start with Kay since she's on the top left.
Hello, good evening. I'm Kay Ford. I am the newly elected recording secretary of IGS, and I'm the chairperson of the membership and publications committee. And I'm usually in the background during these Facebook Lives. And tonight I'll just stay in the foreground in case there are any questions.
Okay, you want to go, Kurt?
Okay, I'm Kurt Sylvester, the president of Indiana Genealogical Society. And I would like to kind of know where we're reaching out to. So in the chat, maybe you could put in the state or county, if you're in Indiana, where you live, so we see what our audience is.
Sue?
I'm Sue Caldwell. I am the vice president of the Indiana Genealogical Society, and I am in charge of the grants. And I am also the Jasper County genealogist.
And I'm Jean-Marie Pearson. I handle the social media aspect for IGS, helping to build our virtual community. So we're going to start out. We quickly want to touch on that we have now set up a YouTube channel for IGS. You can find the link in the Facebook bio, but you can also go to YouTube, and it is INDGENSOC, and I'll put that in the comments so you can find it. But that's how you can find our channel. Make sure you subscribe so you can get updates on. We're going to be posting all this content, and who knows, maybe every so often we'll have something else we can post. So we're going to start out. Let us know, did you attend the conference this past weekend, and what did you think? I'd like to go ahead and go with Kurt and have him tell us, kind of give us a recap on what happened.
Okay, for the event on Saturday, April the 1st, there were two things that were going on. One, it is listed as our annual conference, which means the annual meeting of our Genealogical Society. But in conjunction with that, we also have a seminar. And so I'll talk about the seminar first. The seminar was in 2 sessions before lunch. Then after lunch, we had the annual meeting, and that was followed by 2 more sessions. Our sessions were divided into sections A and B. So one room had our speaker, Amy Johnson Crow, and Amy was speaking on the topics of finding your ancestors before 1850. She also did a presentation then on finding your Civil War ancestors. And then her 3rd session was on using land records. The 4th session was a combination of Amy and the presenters in the other room, and it was called Ask the Ask the Experts. And people were able to ask in person, and those are online could also put questions in the chat. The second session, our second room, the first session was on Indiana County development. Michael Maven gave a lot of good ideas on how, if you even don't even live in Indiana, but you're in another state, how you can find ways to learn about how your county came into existence. Particularly that goes with finding your early ancestors, because the county that they live in now, or where their home is now, may have been a different county, and in some states, present locations had previously been part of 3 different counties. So you need to kind of always know the background of your counties. The second was on the Blanchard family and the National Road. And then the last one was Kurt Witcher on how to use the Percy periodical index. Then we had lunch break. There was always for me, the best part of any seminar is the ability to talk to other people and to network. And, you can say, I'm having a problem doing this, doing that. Also, you sometimes meet your cousins you didn't know you had. So I met several people that I'm now related to that I didn't know just by us sharing some of our research. And they said, I'm looking for a certain person. And I said, well, I've got that person. And we found out that we shared a great grandfather. At the annual business meeting, our agenda was, of course, the typical stuff you have to do at a meeting, approving the minutes and the financial report. We reported the election of the officers and the district directors. And so I'll just pause there and say that in Indiana, we have 9 congressional districts, and sort of the same districts are divided for our genealogical society. We have a district director who then coordinates with all the county genealogists in that area. So we have our 9 district directors all reelected. And then I'll just play off of that one for a second and say that we have the last count, I think we have 92 counties in Indiana. And we have about half of those now with an appointed county genealogist. And those names are listed on our website. So if you're interested in volunteering with Indiana Genealogical and would like to work in some of those ways, that might be one way that you could work with us. It's a person that works with the librarians in your county and other historical genealogical societies and helps to represent us in that local community. The other things that we did was we voted on the amendments for the bylaws, and we've been working on updating our things, and we'll talk probably about our updates a little bit later on, but we've reviewed all of our bylaws and our standing rules, and we've tried to move out of the 17th century into the 21st century. So we actually have only been in existence 34 years, but with the way things have changed in that 34 years, with the addition of webinars and emails and all this other type of thing, it felt like when we began to look at the way they were originally written that it was in some other century. So we're trying to get it up to where we can all work on that. We had a report on membership, and I'm going to let Kay report on that a little bit later here, because that's one of the things that we've really been working on. As I shared at the meeting on Saturday, due to COVID and us not getting out reminders to people, our membership kind of fell, but due to the work of Kay, who is also our membership chair, we're getting that number back. So, and we are a total volunteer organization with the exception of 4 part-time editors or webmaster and a webmaster. And the way we pay them and the way we do all of our stuff comes out of monies that come from our memberships or special fundraisers. So getting our membership back up is going to be very important for our future. The other things that happened were the presentations. We gave an award to the outstanding writer, the genealogical writer for our publications. We also gave out an award to outstanding contribution for a person who volunteered in a local library or genealogical society. And we also have our lineage societies, which are the Territorial Guard, which is for families that can document that they have ancestors that were in Indiana before it became a state in 1816. And the other is Civil War Indiana families. And those are for people who can verify that they had a family direct ancestor in the Civil War. And so those awards were given out. That pretty well covered, I think, the major events of the annual conference. Sue was not able to be with us that day due to some family situations. And so Sue, you might talk about how it was to sit at home and watch it online.
Well, I certainly miss the contact with people because I'm like you. I learned so much at conferences from other people that are attending it. But it was really well done. We got to see all of the screens that the participants, I mean, the speakers were putting up online. That helped very much. We unfortunately didn't get to see the actual person that was speaking. So hopefully we can add that next year. But it went amazingly well. I was very impressed. I mainly attended the first run of sessions, and so I didn't hear the second speakers. It's a shame that we can't find a way to record some of those so that they're available for people at a later time.
I
Want to add
attended.
anything, Kay?
I was there, and it was really neat to put faces to names, and I met one lady in particular, whom I've been communicating with recently about becoming a county genealogist. So I was able to talk to her and hopefully encourage her to join us as a volunteer.
I did not attend. I wasn't able to this year, but I was following kind of social media, see what's going on. Quite a few people posted pictures with Amy Johnson Crow. It was nice being able to see some of the people post their pictures and that. But conference is great. So we're all waiting for next year, but Kurt's told me everyone needs a little rest and then they're going in the planning stage. So another thing we want to kind of talk about tonight, for those of you that don't know, we send out a free newsletter that talks about what's happening in the genealogy community in Indiana. And Kurt put a lot into this last issue. If you guys want to subscribe to that free newsletter, just go to our website, and it's completely free. It's just letting you know what's happening in the genealogy community in Indiana. So it was Kurt's main focus was moving IGS into the 21st century, which is a lot of work. As he said earlier, we're kind of behind, so we're using this to jump ahead. So I don't know if you want to start talking to Kurt and tell us kind of what you're thinking moving into the 21st century, what needs to be done, what needs to happen.
Okay, well, we instead of making a report to the annual conference, we put it in the IGS newsletter, and let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, had to come out 5 pages. So, but my first thing was to review what it is that IGS does currently. And I had people responding to me that they didn't realize that IGS did so much. One person said, I thought all you had was a website and an annual seminar. I didn't know you did all these other things. And so I think maybe I can go over some of this with you today to just share, but like I say, you can see it all written out in this basically as kind of a report. But the thing that I shared was that I wanted people who read it to also get back to us and tell us how we can do these things that we're already doing in a better way to better meet the needs, but what things are we not doing that people would like to see. One of the things that I recognize, I became state president a year ago at the annual meeting. It became effective. Prior to that, I had been recording secretary, and so I was aware of a lot of the things, but I was not aware of the things that I learned after getting into the administration role, I guess. One of the things I recognized that we went to some genealogical conferences and had our table, And I was surprised at the number of people who had gone to a state genealogy presentation or conference by another organization and said they'd never heard of us. And or they assumed that we and the other group were the same. And so we recognize that we just need to get better known across the state. The other thing is that I got a phone call from a national genealogical organization out in Utah, and you can kind of guess some of those groups. And they said they were going to be in Indiana visiting some genealogical things, and they'd like to meet me in my office and wanted to set up a time. And so I explained that we do not have an office. And they said, well, where do you do your work? And I said, well, at my home, at my computer, or in my car when I'm driving to meet with a group or whatever. And so there are a lot of people that are surprised that as a statewide organization, we don't have a brick and mortar office. We don't have secretarial staff. We don't have paid people. Like I say, all we have is our part-time persons, of which John Marie is one. But we really do depend upon people who are committed and interested in genealogy and volunteer their time to work that. So let me just go through some of the various things that we do. Like I stated earlier, we have the district directors, one for each of the 9 districts in the state of Indiana. We then have a goal of having a county genealogist in every county at this point. I believe it's 2 over half that we have committed. And so we just need to find people who are willing to step up and do that. We do have our IGS website, and I'll just say at this point, and we'll come back and maybe talk about that more specifically, but our IGS website has a lot of information on it that you cannot find anyplace else on Indiana ancestors. I know that there's some people who say, well, I have a membership to this or a membership to that. Don't I have everything I need to know? And when I hear someone say that, I know that they've not been doing very much research, because no one has everything you need to know. There's new stuff all the time. But our website specifically looks at the ancestors of Indiana. And one of the things that we've been doing is asking each county to digitize the things. In fact, we, as an organization, even provided scanners and laptop computers so that they could do that work and help us to build up things from each county. So we'll come back and talk about that. We have IGS publications, and Kay, who's up there in the corner, at least in mine, she's up in the left-hand corner. She wears a lot of hats. I don't know, she must have a big closet to keep all of her hats hung in, but she is our publication chair, and we have an editor for the Indiana Genealogist, which is our quarterly journal. And then we have our IGS newsletter, which was just mentioned and which I'm quoting my articles from. And then our other is our IGS social media. And John Marie does that, and probably a little bit later on, she's going to share a little bit about some of the different aspects of social media. When we looked at our bylaws and our original documents, there were no mentions of social media in them. So that's what I meant by bringing it up to the 21st century to try to do that. We have something called Facebook Live. I'm not sure what that is, but maybe we'll learn about that a little bit later on. And then we have IGS seminars. We just talked about the lineage societies. We have the 2, and I mentioned them earlier, the Society of Civil War Families and the Territorial Guard. I began to look up my ancestors to see who I might fit in. I had several that were in the Civil War. And then the hardest one to probably find is evidence on your ancestors that lived in what we today call the state of Indiana, in those lines, who existed within those borders before 1816. And so I was able to verify and have my Territorial Guard certificates now for 8 great-grandparents that were in Indiana. The next two things I want to talk about are still on our books, but we had to put them on hold this year due to the lack of funds. We have an IGS library scholarship, and we do this to, again, support genealogical research in the county libraries. And we know that some county libraries have people that are very actively involved and trained to do genealogy, and there's other libraries that may not have that, but they may have a new librarian who that becomes their area that they're supposed to cover, but they're kind of like, I'm not sure what to do. And so we offer scholarships to help educate those librarians. And so it is a $500 scholarship to help pay their expenses to go to seminars or whatever it is to help. And my long-term goal, and probably won't have time to get in all that, is to have more of a statewide presence and to begin to have seminars and presence in each of the 9 districts and invite all of the librarians from all the counties in that district to those as a way of, again, helping to educate and build a relationship between the genealogical librarians and our society. The next one that we have done is IGS grants, and the grants fall presently into 2 categories. One is cemetery restoration, and I had a person ask me, why are you concerned about restoring cemeteries? And I said, because we are concerned about our ancestors. And a lot of our ancestors are in what's called pioneer cemeteries, which mean that you may find them really overgrown or the markers not very in good shape. They may be located in the middle of somebody's farm. I have a great grandmother and grandfather that are buried in a cemetery that was on a private farm, and it was purchased a few years ago, and the guy who bought it assumed that since he owned the property that he didn't have to do anything, and so he hired a bulldozer to come in and scraped all it off, and my grandmother's tombstone and my grandfather's tombstone ended up over in a pile, and somebody drove by and saw it and called the sheriff and went in, and that man ended up in jail, actually in prison, because he destroyed a cemetery. But we're really working to try to find out where all those cemeteries are. DAR is working on that and other organizations. But our organization, when we have money, is willing to give grants for restoring those, putting restoration to tombstones and stuff. If you want to learn more about that, you need to talk to the young lady that is in the lower right-hand corner on my screen here, and that is Sue Caldwell. The other one is resource development, and that's for organizations that are 501c3s that encourage or work with genealogy. And like I say, we have provided for those groups scanners and other ways to do things, upgrade their resources. And what we ask for them is maybe that once they get some scanning done, that they help provide stuff for our website. Another big major group that we have is honoring genealogy volunteers, and there's 4 categories, but basically I'll just kind of gloss over these, that there are different ways in which people volunteer their services in their own county, working with libraries or genealogical or historical societies. And the award that we gave this last week was to a person who worked with the County Genealogical Society and had indexed all of the county deed books for over a 100-year period. And now that she's got that done, she's going back and getting more. And for a lot of that, it was negotiating with the county officials to free up those books to be used and indexed. Let's see, the last thing, I guess, was that we have contributors, and these are both are to help us out in different ways. One is contributing to our publications, and it's the IGS Genealogy Writing Award, and people submit, and online there is the information about what you do and the topic matter and the limitation on words and all that. And the other one right now is in kind of hiatus because, as I said, we are in the process of talking, and we'll talk a little bit more about our website, but it will be an award for persons who assist us in getting our databases up for our website. But that's a kind of an overview of what our genealogy society does now. And like I say, it's a surprise to many people how much that we do and how much we offer.
So that's a good time to kind of lead into, because our website actually affects our members and non-members. And so that's an important part of who we are in getting people the information they need, as well as bringing new people who want to volunteer and discover and preserve their family history. So what do we need to do in order to move our website into the 21st century?
I'll speak to that just a little bit because when I became president, that was one of the questions, and we basically brought it up at meetings, and the old term is we kicked the can down the road and said, let's discuss it at the next meeting. And if you know me very well, you know that I'm not a person that usually likes to put things off. I just say, well, if we're going to do it, let's get at it. And so I appointed a website committee, and Rhonda Stouffer, our past president, agreed to be appointed as the chairperson, and we began working. The first thing we did was to ask our membership and those who are in that large group of people who say that they're interested in our society but may have not yet joined. What other websites have you gone to that you like? Tell us what they are. And so we got those lists, and then we contacted those, and plus we contacted a lot of the other state genealogical websites and the organizations, and asked to speak with their webmasters or whatever. And we asked one simple question, and that was, are you happy with your website? And would you recommend the person or the company that developed it? It was shocking to find that across the country, a lot of the different organizations were very unhappy with their websites. They just didn't feel that they were meeting the needs of today's people. And when I asked about that, what does that mean? And they said, well, we thought we were in the 21st century, but we've been in the 21st century, what now, 23 years, so they thought they were there because they had their site searchable from both a laptop and a desktop computer. And then they discovered that there were people who wanted to use phones and other devices. And whenever the people brought those things up on their phone, they couldn't read it, or the thing was so large you had to move back and forth. So that was an aha moment for us. Okay, we want to make sure that when we do this, it's not just accessible from computers, but from all current search machines, I'll call them, and any future ones that may come down the line, that we can be open to that. So we are discovering that the site that we have has all kinds of data in it, but we didn't have a single guideline as to how to submit it. So when Bill sent his stuff in, he had his format, and when Bob sent his in, and then Mary had a different format. And none of them want to talk to today's programming that we're going to be putting in. So long story short, we have come upon two things that we had to do. Our website is going to be developed in two ways. One is the website itself is going to be designed so that it meets all these needs that we were talking about. It will have with it all kinds of ways to communicate and send out messages and all that people search. But we are hiring a different firm to transmigrate, I believe is the word we're supposed to use now, transmigrate the data from the sources that it's in right now to a new way. And so that means taking PDF documents and moving them over so they can become a part of this new charts, graphs, pictures, everything. It can be now in there. And we want it to all be searchable. And that means that we're going to need a lot of indexing done later on. So we'll be looking for people to maybe sit at home and help us by indexing the stuff that we can send out to you on a thumb drive and a whole bit of stuff. But we looked at the pricing on that, and we discovered that all this is going to cost us more than $10. You know, some of us thought, gee, a good $10 website ought to work, but it doesn't. So out of our genealogy group, we had set aside some funds, knowing that down the road we were going to quit kicking the can someday, and so we did put some money aside. And so some of that money is going to be used for the website development. And then the other transmigrating the data that we have into a new format, that's going to take even more money. And so at the present time, we have applied for a grant for $50,000, and we have been approved for the first step. We're in. Now we've got to continue working on getting all of our stuff together. But one of the things is that we have to come up with some matching funds. And so just for that one grant, we need to create a fund of new monies. We cannot take it out of our funds or anything else. It has to all be new, designated for this website development. So we need $7,500 there, and we need more money to help replenish the other funds and get more things going. So this is a nice pitch for you. If you have some extra money that you don't know what to do with, designate it to our IGS website fund. I think the website right now has a donate button on it, but if it doesn't, we will find a way. Just contact us. And I know that maybe some of you work for companies that have matching grants. So check with the HR department, but there are some companies that say if you designate so much money to be given, we will match it. That would be a great way. Some of you may have some of those funds that every year you have to disperse things to nonprofit organizations, and we fit that 501c3, so you could designate us. And some of you may have a will, and you might want to include us in the will. And I learned a long time ago, where there's a will, there's a way. And so if you will put us in your will, it will help us a way lot. And I don't know if that worked all those words in well, but anyway. So the website is something that we hope by July we will have heard that if we got the grant or not, and we have the people all booked and on standby to start working for us. So I'll drop it there and let anybody ask questions or whatever.
And I did just look, Kurt, we do have a donation button on there where it's right on our front page, donate to IGS. So you could just click that little box, and any little donation helps. So it's just our goal just to slowly start working it up. So
and if you want to send, if you only want to send a check, well, just send a check to our treasurer, and I believe that address or someplace. If it's not on there, send it to our post office box, and we'll get it.
right. Okay. So next in the last newsletter, you recommended or asked people if they know of any ideas or suggestions, and to email them directly to you, which I'll put your email in the comments below. But what kind of ideas and suggestions are you looking for, kind of?
Well, we're looking for each person to say, if I'm searching for an ancestor in Indiana, what kind of ancestors are you looking for? How can we help find them? Because that's one of the things the developers were saying to us. What are the key things? So we know some people search by surname, some people search by county, some people search by specifics, such as they're looking for a military person. But what are the other things that are going to help us to help you find? And then what are the other things we've offered? So we do have on our website a list of persons who have said that you can contact them if you're looking for a researcher to help look up stuff. And we do have, I know people that, you know, they live in another state, they contact someone here who can go to a county, and that's kind of how we use some of our people. County genealogist wise, they can find somebody locally to help do some research. Some of them do it voluntarily, and some of them do it as an income status. I had a person the other day say, well, we have a local genealogical society, but we're having a hard time knowing who makes good presentations. So they've asked if we could have maybe on our website a list of presenters or topics, and so that if they're looking for a topic on whatever, they can look on there, and then they can say, oh, here's a person that does it, and the contact information, and they can work out with that person. You know, most people who are doing that don't do it to make a living, but they need to probably have travel income, their travel expenses covered or whatever. So you know, we're really open to whatever it is that will help people get to know and find their genealogical ancestors. I'm doing in 2 Saturdays from now on the 22nd, I guess that is, I'm doing a presentation with a county genealogical society on how to write. Once you've got your research done, how do you write up something about your ancestor? And so we're going to talk about writing it, making it a creative story, and then how to resource that, so that you show how you got your information from, and all that. And we're going to help them by also, my thing is, I'm encouraging everybody. Here's what I start out with. How many of you, if you were researching your great-grandma, found that she had written her life story in a book, and all you had to do is open it up and read it? You didn't have to research it there. She's already done it for you. What would you say? And they would say, oh, we'd say, we love you, great-grandma. And I said, well, someday your great-grandkids are going to be looking up your information. So why don't you give a gift and write your own story? And so I'm showing them how to write their own story. One of my own projects I'm doing right now is I'm doing a life story of my parents. So from my dad's birth to my mom's death, which is 105 years. And my mother died at 101. She was a little younger than dad, so 105. But I've got all kinds of stuff. I've got the copies of the deeds and all the different things and all the pictures, and I'm including their siblings and all that. So at the present time, it looks like it's going to be a 6-volume set, with each volume being about 500 pages. It's humongous. I didn't know it was going to be that big when I got started on it. But it ends up that my family is related to everybody in the township. So really, it's going to be a history of a township in Indiana. And so we have some people in that township that are already interested in saying, yeah, we know now that includes our families too, because of all the, you know, you marry the neighbors, don't you? So I've written 9 books so far, and I've got all these projects underway. And I'll just show you back behind here, but I don't know if you can see this one, if it gets in focus or not. But you can submit these books also once you write them, and if you wish, you can submit them to the Allen County Genealogical Society, which is really Indiana's archives for great genealogy, and they will bind them and give you back a hardbound copy like this of your research. So good plug for Allen County, the Genealogy Center.
Kurt, I did have someone ask if your presentation you're going to be doing is going to be recorded.
It is not, but if you want to come to it, it's at the library in Albion and Noble County starting at 9 o'clock. One of the problems that we have, number one, in recording things is with some people that are recording, that is their income. And so to record that stuff means that they don't get income from it. And on the others is it's just a challenge to get cameras and stuff set up and get it all recorded with. And so you have to have a lot of permissions out there to get all those done. But no, that one is not.
Okay, so now I thought we'd kind of talk about membership, letting people understand when you become a member, what that membership's paying for. Also, Kay, maybe if you could talk about numbers we are seeing right now, and how can people help us build our membership who are already members?
I'll share what I talked about at the conference. In 2022, our total IGS membership was 624. During the first quarter of 2022, the first 3 months, we had 129 new and or renewing members. During the first quarter of this year, we have had so far 206. So we've had an increase and we are on track to hopefully reach 800 members by the end of this year. And during the conference, I did report 204, but I had 2 waiting in the emails when I got done that were from March. So I'm bumping it up to 206. One of the things that folks do since is to share with us an email that we can communicate with you. I know sometimes people sign up for the e-blast and that automatically puts you on a list in Constant Contact, the platform that we use for communication. And occasionally I will get error messages that the mailbox is full or it's bounced. And when these people who are interested do sign up to become a member, I can't send them information. I can send them one email from my membership email that gives them their login credentials, but I don't keep track after that. So if I'm unable to reach you through Constant Contact and I send you the one email, I ask you to please get back with me when you do something, when you, it's called confirming your email. Once you confirm your email with Constant Contact, then I can add you to the membership list and you'll get updates like dues reminders or conference announcements. The confirmation email, it's so that Constant Contact knows you're a real person and not a robot. And we do not want to spam anyone. And I try to keep the email to once a month. And if there's something special, that might be twice a month. So that's kind of an important thing regarding our communication. And the other thing I announced at the conference is a new limited time only membership category, and it's going to be live memberships, and they're back for 1 year only. So I'm not 100% sure that they have been added to the website, but they should be soon, if not already. And they will be available to anyone who's 60 years of age or over for $500. And these memberships will cover 20 years or until the end of the member's life, whichever is shorter. And the purpose of offering these lifetime memberships It is in celebration of our 35th anniversary in 2024. So if you don't see it on the website this evening, check back in about a week, because we need to get those that category added to the website.
And we'll also post something on social media
Mhm.
about it when we know it's live.
Okay. So yeah, that is what I shared at the conference, and it's great to see an uptick in the numbers, and that's all I had.
Okay. I guess we'll touch on social media now. As I explained earlier, I handle the social media for IGS. So you can find us, of course, here on Facebook. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and now we have a YouTube channel where we're going to post all of these recordings so that people can find them to watch later on if they don't want to be on a specific platform. The one thing about social media is, even though these are our social media channels, we don't own these. And so that is one reason to be on the email list. And so I always push the email list to everybody because we don't own this platform. We also share the other platforms because if you're on there, you're going to also want to follow us on there, because if in the past, like Twitter's gone down, and if you're only following us on Twitter, we wouldn't have been able to reach you. So it's important, if you're on all the platforms, to follow us. You don't have to. We have a system going now where we're sharing across all platforms the same information. So you're pretty much going to see the same thing. It's just sometimes you might catch a specific post on one platform instead of another. And so that's why it's kind of nice sometimes to follow on the various platforms. Our goal is for social media is supposed to be an extension of our society. So it's our virtual world for IGS. And it's taking time. It's new. Nobody saw IGS having to, expand our knowledge of technology and all that stuff. We're going into AI. So all of this is new. We're still learning. Social media is always changing, but we want it to be a place where our community can connect, share our family history. IGS wants to be able to share with you the resources that make it so possible for you to discover your family history, connect with cousins, connect with people like-minded as you. That way, if you want to talk about your family history, you don't have to go to your spouse who's probably going to roll his eyes like, here she goes again. These are people that want to hear your story. And some people are scared to share this story. There's nothing to be scared of. We want to hear the story. We love it. Engage with each other, scroll through the comments, comment with them. But this is it's a community that's always there. And so we kind of just wanted, we have over 8,000 on just our IGS Facebook page, over 1,000 on Twitter. Instagram's growing. So it's a huge community, and you never know. You can post, a problem you're having. Someone might try, have the answer of where you need to go. So with that, we just want you to look at it as an extension of the society. If there's some more stuff you would like to see posted, let me know. I'll see what I can do. I know you guys love the quotes and the questions and the tips. So I try to post those as much as I can. We try to change it up so you don't get bored, but just let us know. Does anyone have anything on social media?
If I could put on my publication committee hat for a moment.
Yep, absolutely.
One of the things that I touched on during the conference was our journal and our IGS newsletter, members only. We need content. We need your stories. And we realize that sometimes it's frightening to write your stories down because of things like citations. So one of our upcoming Facebook Lives later this year will be about submitting an article for the journal. And we'll go over things like content and citation style, because you don't have to be afraid of it. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and Kurt may have mentioned this, that we do offer the IGS Genealogy Writing Award. It was formerly known as the Elaine Spire Smith Family History Writing Award. And to qualify for the award, articles must be at least 1,000 words in length. And you think that sounds like a lot, but when you start writing your family history and talking about it, 1,000 words is just not enough. Multiple submissions are welcome, and you do not need to be an IGS member. And 2022's award winner, her article appeared in the spring 2022 Indiana Genealogist, our journal, and the publications committee, we had several qualified eligible articles, and we had a discussion about what to bring to the board, who ultimately votes on the winner. And we were inspired by this article. It was well written. It incorporated several genealogical methodologies to learn more about what turned out to be neighbors' lives. So it's similar to what Kurt was talking about, how everyone in the township is related. And the article used early plat maps, which was really nice to add some visual aids to the story. And the article is titled Neighbors in Section 18, Jackson Township, Fayette County. And the author's name is Carolyn Ladd. And we were just very honored to present her with the 2022 IGS Genealogy Writing Award. And I'll take that hat off now.
Well, I want to touch a little bit on our Facebook Live, as Kurt said, share a little bit more about it. This is our second year. Yeah, our second year of doing this. It's a way for us to kind of share with the community about the topics that they want to know about. And so that's kind of how we get everything. It's also our way as, you know, board members and committee members and that to let you know what's happening. We had Society of Civil War Families of Indiana came, and he was able to explain the process of joining that society. He's going to be back later to talk in a few months about territorial guards. Next month, we have someone that's going to be talking about organizing your photos. We have so many great topics coming up. And like I said, we are going to post it on our YouTube channel now. But if you ever have a topic, please let us know. We do it on the first Tuesday every month. We try to do it 6:30. There have been a couple we've had to move to 7. But this is our way of sharing to you that we're doing this for you, this Facebook Live. And so if there is something you'd love to see, please let us know. Like I said, this is for you guys. Sue, is there anything you want to share? You haven't talked enough. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry there.
There you
I
go.
think we are doing a lot of very good work here with the organization, and I hope we can just continue it. And I really encourage people to help us get this website going, because that is something that is badly needed, and we need to develop a format that lets people know how they can send information to us so that we can add it to our new website. And there is one thing that I noticed wasn't mentioned that we do. We still have the once a Hoosier and always a Hoosier. And that wasn't in your article. And Once a Hoosier is for
Correct.
people who at some, you can write about a family member who at one time lived in Indiana. They didn't have to be born there or die there, buried there. They just spent a period of time. I put my father out there, even though he was in Indiana only for 3 years of his life. Then the Always a Hoosier is for people who were buried actually in Indiana, will always be there.
And we did do a live on it. So if anyone has any questions, it is now on our YouTube channel. So Jennifer goes over how to get on the blog and how to submit things, how to see if your ancestors are on there. So it's a definite, yeah, we needed to mention that.
Okay.
Does anybody have any closing remarks? I know we're getting close to 7:30. I'll check for questions.
I would just say that one of the things that I'm really looking how we can better be known across the state, how we can have a statewide presence, how we can have maybe live programming in the various districts, and how we can get more people trained and have them actually become involved. We are fortunate in many counties to have very active genealogical societies, but we have others that are not. And so we would really, if you have an interest and you have a group and you'd like to have a speaker or you'd like to become more involved, let us know, because that's, and give us your ideas on how we as a society can better meet genealogical research needs.
Perfect. Okay, I think that's a wrap for tonight. If you're watching this in the replay and you have questions, let us know in the comments below. This will be replaying on Facebook, but as soon as it gets uploaded to YouTube, we will let you know. But be sure to go over there, check it out. And I did put Kurt's email down there, so if everybody wants to email him, they can. And so thank you, everybody. And we will see you next month. I believe I have it on the events on the Facebook tab of what's coming up. Next month, I believe we are having the organizing photographs and how to do it safely in that. So looking forward to that one to see what we can learn. So okay, that's it for now.
Great.
We'll see you guys later.
Thank
Thank you so much.